Inspiration sparks and raises our vibration, encouraging all of us to live our best lives. It is my pleasure to welcome our speaker for this evening, Jen Rosson. Jen is an ordained minister whose goal is to be an inspiration to those she serves. She is Vice President of SCOA and the Director of the Spiritual Expression Center. A warm Harmony Harbor welcome to Jen.
Thank you, Jonna. Good afternoon or evening. It's good to see everybody today. Happy Sunday. I don't know about you, but I am guilty of participating in the occasional zombie scrolling time suck that social media provides so well. So I'd like to start today by sharing a humorous story I came across during one of those zombie scrolling episodes on Instagram. I can't give you an appropriate credit for this narrative, unfortunately, because there was none attached and no identification given. It was an obviously older video of a minister addressing his congregation, and I will try and do him justice with my paraphrased version. An older Minnesotan couple were complaining to each other about the brutal winter weather they'd been having and came to the joint conclusion that sunny Florida would be a welcome change. And they could revisit the same hotel that they had honeymooned in 20 years previously. So they decided to make the trip to warmer weather and made hotel and flight reservations. The only hitch in the plan was that they couldn't get a plane reservation together. Evidently, a lot of other people had the same idea. So the husband left on his flight, and his wife would be leaving to join him the following day. The husband's flight arrived safely in Florida, and he checked into the hotel according to plan. He decided that he would send his wife an email to let her know that he had landed and that everything was all set. Well, inadvertently and unknowingly, he made a small mistake in her email address, leaving out a single letter. The altered address, as it turned out, was also a valid email address, and it arrived in the inbox of a woman in Houston, Texas. A woman who earlier that day had attended her husband's funeral, a rather large affair as he was a well-loved minister of their church. Upon her arrival at home, she decided to check her email because there were several family members and friends who had not been able to make the trip to Texas to attend. She assumed they would want to reach out to her in some manner to extend their condolences or perhaps some much needed words of encouragement. So she opened up the first email and promptly fainted. Her son, hearing a strange noise, ran into the room to check on his mother. And once he had determined that she was okay, he looked at the computer and read what was on the screen. And this is the email he found. To my loving wife, I've arrived. I know you're surprised to hear from me. They have computers here now, and you're allowed to send emails to your loved ones. I arrived and checked in, and everything has been prepared for your arrival tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you then, hoping that your journey is as uneventful as mine was. P.S. It sure is hot down here. Well, there's a lot to find humorous in that story by the unknown clergyman. But what leapt out to me was that it was all predicated on the omission of one letter in an email address. One small, almost insignificant mistake. Have you ever heard of or read anything about something called the butterfly effect? It refers to an example frequently used about the flapping of a butterfly's wings, leading to a chain of subsequent events, eventually resulting in a tornado forming. The foundation of this seemingly strange possibility is based on chaos theory, a mathematical attempt to explain the unpredictability of complex systems. Chaos theory tries to demonstrate how the smallest change in initial conditions can lead to very different and unexpected results. Another common example of this is the tragic and catastrophic loss of the Space Shuttle Challenger. 2 rubber O-rings failed to seal a joint. Combined with lower than expected temperatures at launch time, the O-ring failure led to a cascade of errors that resulted in the loss of the spacecraft and its 7 astronauts. Obviously, the ramifications of the smallest things can have the potential to be significant and life-altering. I saw another video a couple days ago talking about a cascading effect. This time, a mechanic was explaining why mechanics tend to hate engineers. He was trying to change the in-cabin air filter in a car, something that should be straightforward. It's part of the routine maintenance. To do so required the removal of the glove box. But one screw on the left-hand bottom of the glove box was hidden behind the side wall of the center console where the shifter was located. So that side wall had to also be removed. But in order to remove the side wall, he had to remove the console between the seats, which disguised screws for the sidewall, which then caused the rear compartment center console to also be removed because it was hiding screws that kept the between the seat console in place. So one screw caused 3 other unrelated things to be totally disassembled, costing time and money and a lot of frustration for the poor mechanic tasked with the job. Complex system, unforeseen, and in this case, poorly planned, changes from its initial condition. There are many, countless examples of this, and I'm sure you can all think of a few yourselves. The butterfly effect is a scientific concept and a component of chaos theory, but it's also a deeply spiritual truth. Think about it for a second. Spirituality asks all of us to look beyond the surface, to broaden our perspective and recognize the tapestry of infinite threads that make up this reality. All of them interconnected with one another and also interdependent upon one another. Small changes can have significant effects on our grand web of existence. Picture yourself as this butterfly. Each flap of your wings is a thought or an act of kindness, perhaps a moment of stillness or gratitude. Each of these things causes a ripple in the great ocean of our universe. For example, the smile you give the grocery clerk as she checks you out softens her heart just enough that she feels moved to forgive someone else. These kind of things aren't fantasies or flights of imagination. They're energy exchanges within the tapestry. Perhaps the great Sufi poet Rumi said it best. He said, "You are not the drop, you're not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop." Every individual breath is part of the breath of the cosmos. Every step on the journey leaves a footprint in history. We each matter individually, not because of grand, magnificent gestures, but because of the small, intimate moments which are grand from the perspective of eternity. We live in a time and culture that has a propensity to celebrate the big achievements only, the promotions, the graduations, awards or trophies that sit on the mantle. Spirituality reminds us that transformation is often subtle and quiet, often taking place without witness. The caterpillar doesn't broadcast its metamorphosis on cable TV. It enters the darkness of the cocoon in stillness and quiet, unseen until it emerges as a beautiful butterfly, a perfect symbol for how change can work in our lives and on this plane of existence. The butterfly effect teaches us that the flap of our wings, our choices, our thoughts, our intentions, can be felt far beyond our own vision. We may never witness the tornado our kindness set in motion, or personally know the life that was saved by a single act of compassion. But the absence of evidence is not the absence of impact. Most of us can call to mind some memory, perhaps of a teacher or a coach, that had a lasting impact on us personally. Words of encouragement or praise, urging us on to try something we didn't think we could accomplish. I can recall a teacher looking at me and saying, "You can do this." Those 4 words not only gave me courage in the moment, but they've echoed in my mind over the following decades, whenever moments of doubt have arisen. My teacher probably wouldn't even remember that moment, but I did. And I do. That's the butterfly effect in action, affecting numerous instances far down the line of its initial intention in one of the most ultimate complex systems, and that's life. Spirituality asks us to not only believe in this effect, but to embody it into our daily lives, to walk as if every intention was sacred, because it is, to speak with conscious purpose, because every word is a seed. The butterfly effect doesn't choose the direction the wind will carry an intention or its action, just as we can't choose the outcomes of them. We can choose their nature, putting more love into our words, incorporating more mindful awareness in our daily routines, being more conscious, putting more conscious intention in our steps. The addition of intention is how spirituality deepens the mechanical cause and effect scientific explanation of the butterfly effect. When we consciously act with love in our hearts, the ripples we create are not random. They actually align with the divine. This alignment doesn't just create change, it creates transformations that uplift those involved. We can think of historical examples like Rosa Parks simply sitting down on a bus, refusing to give up her seat, a defining moment in the civil rights struggle. Mahatma Gandhi's decision to lead the 24-day Salt March, a pivotal event in India's struggle for independence. They couldn't have known what the true impact of their actions would eventually be, but each flap of their wings shaped the winds of the future. We tend to underestimate our own personal influence because the results are often invisible to us. Spiritual growth works the same way seeds do, sprouting underground before they ever break the surface. Expressions of compassion and mindfulness and courage, those are the seeds that continue to grow in someone's life long after we've planted them. There's a Zen proverb that says, "No snowflake ever falls in the wrong place." So there's no wasted moments, no wasted acts of kindness, certainly no wasted prayers. The smallest gesture lands exactly where it is needed most. Even when we become discouraged with all the stuff going on around us, spirituality reminds us that the point is not to single-handedly change the world, but to live with intention so that the world is changed by our presence. There's a hidden benefit to all of this. The butterfly effect doesn't just work outwardly, it works inwardly as well. Every choice and action shapes the person that we are becoming. Tiny moments of inner alignment with the divine creates waves that touch each succeeding interaction. And it's not about being perfect. Butterflies are fragile, after all, sometimes losing little pieces of their wings, but they still continue to fly. We don't have to have everything figured out. We don't have to be perfect in every moment, but we have to be willing to keep moving with loving intention, even in uncertain conditions. Can you imagine if everyone on Earth began each morning with loving intention? 7 billion butterflies lifting the winds of thoughts of love and compassion, healing and justice. I don't think the storms of hate and greed would stand a chance, do you? There's no such thing as just a small act. Every one of them causes a ripple. A holy breeze that fills the space between cause and effect with love, and that's the highest truth after all. So anytime you're feeling insignificant, remember that someone somewhere may be remembering something you did or said years ago. Somewhere the wind shifted because kindness was chosen over anger. Patience won out over haste, or maybe compassion was expressed instead of judgment. We are each the butterfly, causing the ripple in the vast, mysterious web of our existence. Our small individual wing beats matter more than any of us can ever imagine. My wish for all of us butterflies is that we do what we do best, fly. We're already shaping the world with the breeze of our wing beats, and we have to trust that somewhere far beyond what we can see, a storm of love is gathering strength. I'd like to close today with words from Catholic nun and renowned humanitarian Mother Teresa. She said, "We can do no great things, only small things with great love." Indeed. Thank you for allowing me to serve today. Blessings to all.